Hey everybody, welcome back to another Crafting with Kelsey video. I hope you all enjoyed the Advent wreath making that we had last week. I know some of you sent me some pictures of the wreaths that you made at home, and I think they're all great. I'm here with another video for you today, and then I have another 2 ideas after that. So hopefully that will take us up pretty close to Christmas, or at least to the point where people tend to not have time for crafting and it's only preparing for Christmas. But I did want to get this next craft out to you sooner rather than later because it's like the Advent wreath, it's a timeliness issue. But if we look here, I know it's hard to see from, again, the quality of my camera is not the best. But here we have an Advent calendar that you can make at home yourself. Each one of these little ornaments that you see actually have numbers on them, and I'll show them to you close up in a second. But I wanted to show you that full on the whole tree in all its glory. I know a lot of people go out and buy Advent calendars. They sell them at a lot of different places. You can get them with chocolate in them. Those are my personal favorites. But this is a fun one that you can do at home. By yourself if you don't want to go out into the stores. And I really like it because it is so crafty. And I'm very proud with how this came out. So this is one that I did over the course of the week. I would have shown you how I did it, but it actually took a lot of time and it would not have fit into a video like this. So I wanted to show you the completed project so you can have a visual, and I'll walk you through each of the steps. So the first thing you're going to start out with, as you can see here, this is a pegboard. So when you buy these, you can get them at a Home Depot or a Lowe's. I personally got this one at, I think it was Lowe's. It came in a huge 2-foot by 4-foot sheet. I got that for about $8. This is a spare blank one. If anyone wants it, you're welcome to it. If you want to make one yourself, we can coordinate getting it to you if you want to use this. And then I also have another smaller sheet. I cut it down so it's 2 feet this way from here to here, and it's 18 inches from here to here. You can cut it to be whatever dimensions you want. Again, this particular one came in a sheet of 2 by 4 feet. And I cut it down because that's a bit larger than I had wanted. So I find that this is much more manageable. You can even also put this up on like a windowsill to prop it up. There is no way, like I didn't put a fin or anything on the back to hold it up, so it will need something sturdy behind it. But perfect sturdy object would be a window. So that's what I plan to do. And again, I got this in brown. There are white versions of this that if you wanted to have like it looked like snow or something like that, you're more than welcome to go with that. But the white ones tend to be a little bit more expensive, just so you're aware. This one's just fine. Does the job very well, actually. So I recommend that. And again, if anyone needs one, I've got an extra one for you. And I also have a small 2-foot by 1-foot. Square as well if you want something a little smaller. So the next step, once you have your board here, is to make your Christmas tree, which you see here in the back. As I think I've stated in prior crafting videos, I am not the best at drawing. However, these pegboards make it very easy because you can just draw straight lines from one hole to the next. And there's your line. So it went down 4 lines in 2, or down 4 dots in 2, down 5 in 3. And so it makes a very natural Christmas tree, and it makes it very easy to measure where things are based on the location of these pegboard holes. If you don't have a pegboard already, and if you don't want to go out and buy one, they're actually something that you can make yourself. I know in this Christmas season, everyone's probably buying things online and getting them shipped, and usually those shipments come in cardboard boxes. So what you can do is if you have a larger cardboard box, just go ahead and cut out a square of that cardboard box. It's a little more labor intensive, but then draw a grid of 1-inch squares up and down the whole side of the cardboard, and then just poke yourself some holes where the grid lines meet. If you have a knitting needle, those work really well. If you don't have a knitting needle, you could probably use a knife, but please be very careful. Anything that will poke its way through cardboard would be good. Knitting needle is better just because it gives you this circle, and that's what you want when you're threading the yarn through later, which we'll get to in a minute. But the circle holes are better than flat ones just because it will be a little easier for you. And then you're going to need paint. As you can see here, I drew an outline for the tree with marker, which actually the markers did surprisingly well on this pegboard material. It will do even better on cardboard. But you can see down here, the trunk, I drew it in marker. This is actually marker, whereas the tree and the star are paint. But you could use a marker just as well if you don't have any paint in this color. I then, to make sure that I got these straight lines, I used some painter's tape because I'm not very delicate with my line drawing when it comes to paint. So I just used some painter's tape. I will say that, believe it or not, actually the painter's tape took up some of the material here, so it's a little rough on the edges of the tree, but it doesn't do anything to visually affect what you see here. So I'd recommend using that, but being very gentle. Don't press down too hard on the painter's tape. Or if you are an amazing painter and you can do a straight line freehand, absolutely do that instead. In order to get this to be this consistency, I did do 2 coats of paint. Yet another reason why I didn't do this for you live is because I had to do 2 coats of paint and let it dry. So that's what I would recommend here, and for the star as well. Then what you're going to need, and this is probably the most painstaking process of the whole craft, is you're going to weave yarn through every hole. Now you can see I don't have it here on the sides, but I do have yarn in all of the holes within the Christmas tree. And if I show you the back side of this, you can see all of the yarn that's gone through the holes in all the various directions. And it actually almost makes this sort of very haphazard Christmas tree on the back. I won't lie, it is very tedious, but if you're watching a movie, it's great because you can it's a mindless activity to do while you're watching something or doing something else that doesn't require your full attention. So I used yarn. You can use any other kind of string or twine. In particular, I went to Michael's. If you can't tell, I love Michael's. I practically live there. No, they are not sponsoring me. But I got this yarn here. It's very soft from Michael's, and that's what I used in this tree. As you can see, I have a lot of yarn left, so you don't need a whole lot. A lot goes a long way here. A little goes a long way, but plus side is I have a whole lot of yarn now that I can make a scarf or something with. So that's fun. But again, you can use any other kind of string material that you can easily manipulate. If you do use yarn, I highly recommend that you put wax on the end of the string. So as everyone who has ever worked with yarn knows, that the end here can get very frilled and all the strands can split apart, and then it makes it very difficult to fit it through a smaller hole. So what I did was I lit a candle, and then after a while of the candle being lit, I just dipped the end of the yarn into the pool of wax, hot wax, and I let it sit there, and I actually dipped it in 3 different times just to make sure that the wax was very firm, wasn't going to just break off and go everywhere. And that actually worked really well to make sure that I could get the tip of the yarn through each hole without issue. So I'd recommend doing something like that if you can. But again, if you can't, any type of string or yarn will do. And lastly, or not lastly, the other thing you'll need, other than material to make the ornaments, the reason why you go through that process of stringing the yarn through is because you need to attach these ornaments to something. Now, in particular here, what I have are little itty bitty, oh, sorry about that. They're not great quality. Wouldn't use them for anything else really. Little clothespins. They do open and close. They function just like any other clothespin. They are just about 1/2 inch tall. They are absolutely minuscule. And they will be the bane of your existence for a bit when you're putting these up. However, you can get a package of 30 of these, yet again from Michael's, in the party section. I think I got these for $2, something. It's a really, really good price. If you don't have, I know some people already have stuff like this. I know this is what we use to hang up our cards in Christmas time. If you don't already have something like this and you don't want to go out, you can even use paper clips. You could use something like tape, although I wouldn't recommend something that is you need something that's going to move, because what's going to happen is as you go through the Advent season, you need 2 hands to do this, as you get to each day, so let's say it's the 4th day of December, what you're going to do is you're going to open the clothespin and you're going to flip the ornament number 4 over. So that way the 4 is now no longer showing. I know you can't see it all that well, but here you can see I have a 4 written on. So on December 4th, what I'll do is I'll flip it so that way the back side is facing out. If you feel like giving yourself a challenge and finding the ornaments every day, you can leave them up and then you can hunt around for, oh, well, today's the 12th, where's the 12th, and find it that way. But that's where these clothespins come in handy, is because you can open them and transition the ornament from a front facing side to a back facing side. You do want something that's not going to permanently adhere to your ornaments or to the board. So that's why I'd recommend staying away from something like tape, but things like paper clips or binder clips, if you have a lot of those, would be good in this. Again, I highly recommend these little boogers. They are a pain. As you saw, it took me a while to open it up on here. That's partially because you need 2 hands. So I'd recommend these if you can. If not, paper clips will work just as well. So once you have your tree paint, you have your board, you have your tree painted, you have your ornament hanging devices, now you have to make your ornaments. And this is where it gets really fun. You can use any material at all whatsoever to make your ornaments. I personally used multicolor construction paper. You can see these are actually the exact pieces I use because they're not full size anymore. To make them into circles, I just used things around my house that were circular and traced them on. So my little baby ones are from quarters. The medium-sized ones are actually from the bottom of a spray bottle. And then these big ones, which I only have 3 of, I had from the bottom of a flower pot. So you want to have a variety of sizes, and I particularly liked a variety of colors, because when you put your ornaments on the tree, normally they aren't all the exact same ornament. You want to add some texture and some fun and creativity to it. So I'd recommend different sizes if you want to, but again, you can all do the same size if you feel like it, but do keep in mind the ratio of the size of the ornament to the size of your Christmas tree. You don't want to you have to get at least 25 ornaments on here, 1 for each day. So just keep that in mind as you're going around your house looking for circular objects, just how many you can fit onto your tree. And you can always go back and start again. I mean, it's not very hard to trace and cut out circles. But I do recommend keeping a keen eye. You want smaller circles, not bigger circles. unless of course you have a very big piece of plywood, which if you have that, the bigger the better, right? So with that, once you have your circles cut out, you can go ahead and what I did first was arrange how I wanted the ornaments on the tree. I didn't want all three of my big circles on the bottom and all my little ones up top. I wanted them to be scattered around. So I laid them out first where I wanted them to go, and then I assigned random numbers. So I've got, I don't know if you can see anything up here. I've got number 9 with next to number 24, next to a 2. So I really tried to, one of my favorite parts of Advent calendars, just searching for the day. I think it's fun. So you can, if you wanted to be chronological, you absolutely can do that. I liked the joy of the hunt, so I incorporated that in here. Once they have their numbers on them, you can go ahead and clip them into their place with their ornament hanging device. If you are feeling particularly courageous, you can go ahead and write verses of the Bible story on the backs of your ornaments. That way when the day comes to flip the ornament over, your back of your ornament actually has part of the Bible story on it. I can't write that small and still have it be legible. So you could do the book and the chapter and the verse, and then you can look it up. And that could be your task for the day, is to look up that particular verse and read it. But you can have each day represent a different part of the story of Jesus's birth. Kind of like how we do our journey to Bethlehem. You can start up here in the taxing, and then you can go on, and then finally on day 25, Jesus is born. You can work your way through that way. Or you can just keep them blank on the back, which is what mine are. I might go ahead and add something in the back. I know a lot of people, the person I actually got this idea from made it into a fun to-do list. I don't think I will be doing that. But each day had a task of something she should do, like decorate the Christmas tree or wrap some presents or things along those lines. So you can make it as creative as you want to, or you can just leave it at this and call it a day. Whatever you feel like doing for your Advent calendar. All of it will look great, I am sure. So that is our homemade Advent calendar. The great part about this is it can actually be used from year to year. This pegboard, not plywood, pegboard, is something that you can just throw up in the attic with the rest of your Christmas decorations when the season's over and bring it back down. And you can rearrange where they are, so every year it can be a little different to the ornaments. And all in all, this is something that will hold up from year to year, so you don't have to keep remaking it, but you can if you would like to. So I hope that's a fun craft for everybody to do. Again, I do have an extra plywood pegboard that's this exact size and another one that is 6 inches smaller. If anyone is interested, feel free to shoot me a text or an email and we can coordinate getting it to you. Other than that, I hope you have everything else that you need to make it if you would like to. And I hope you all have fun making this one as well. Again, I hope to be back with another 2 videos after this, with another 2 ideas for you to get crafty with during this holiday season to get you a little more festive and also make it a little easier so you don't have to go out and buy things to, make stuff at home. And it means a lot more when you make it. You put your heart and soul into making something. So I hope you all enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye.